Hello everybody, Graham here. Thank you for joining me on the channel. And here we go again. You know, last time I spoke about the Lupron and the radiotherapy, and then started to move towards how I wanted to move into a positive state of mind and get some strength back in my body, and try and soften the side effects of the Lupron. Now I've read up and I've did a lot of research and listened to a lot of other people and obviously the professionals out there who do this for a living, and they all suggest, you know, you've got to actually actively be active to start to, you know, bring some of the side effects down. And the muscle loss, the growing of breasts, the midsection weight gain, the fatigue, headaches, all these things, and building a little bit of muscle back is high on my list. So, you know, as winter started to come to a close, spring was in my sight. The garden was a big thing I wanted to start getting on with. I always do every year. I try and do something in the garden, whether it's changing the the grass to block paving, or the patio, resurfacing it or revarnishing it. Little things I always try and get onto, but the previous year I just didn't have anything about me. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do any physical work. I couldn't do anything. That I just couldn't breathe properly. And you know, I am a little bit asthmatic as well, so the whole side effects was compounded by a high blood pressure I had or have. It was also compounded by the asthma. So I was fighting pretty much on 3 different fronts just to stay normal and get a little bit of activity going. And people say, you know, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do, you know, how? And, you know, please leave me alone, you know, kind of thing. But last spring, I managed to get myself in a good mental state, and I started to plan things I wanted to do. And one of the things, we have a decking area, and the decking was every year I'd varnish it, and I hadn't varnished it the year before, and the weather would set in, and then it would start to split a little bit, and you know, the varnish would come off. So it was one of those jobs that I had to do just to make me feel, when I looked out the window, I didn't have this real, you know, dirty, you know, broken down bit of decking. So I was racking my brains, you know, what can I do this year where I can solve the problem? And bear in mind, I've gone through all the different varnishes, the run seal, all these things that they say will last for, you know, 10 years. It doesn't. You know, once the weather gets into it, it breaks it up, and it just, varnish just goes off. So I had one of my, you know, moments of genius, and I said, this year I'm going to just cover it with a nice, 3-inch foam, and then I'm going to put the artificial grass on top of it. And it's quite a big decking area, and I priced it all up and bought it, and it sat on the side of the house for a good 4 weeks for me to get myself into that position where I thought, right, we've got a good day, the sun is shining, I can face it, I'm going to get up early, I'm going to do it all, and I'm jet wash it down, clean it all off, lay down the foam, and then put the artificial grass, cut it all to size, then nail it all in, seal it all off, and boom. And that terrifies you. You know, if you're listening and you guys are going through this, tell me in the comments that you don't go through similar, you know, stages in this, where you know you're going to plan a job, you get a job sorted, you've got all the materials, and then you just can't face it yet. Well, that's one of my jobs that I wanted to do. I tried to get myself into that mental state, and I just couldn't quite face it, you know. You're probably asking, well, did you get on and do it? I did, and it was a very beautiful day where we live. We have really quite nice springs days, and I roped in the wife. I roped in my oldest son. He was home for Easter, and the little one, and we all got on and did little jobs, and we got it cut, we got it down, we got it trimmed, we got it nailed in, and it did look great, and it's still to this day, it's looking good. But I literally couldn't physically move that night, and the next couple of days I was gone. I don't know what it was. You know, I've lost so much I've lost so much strength in my muscles, and my muscle is wasted. And whether it's the extra weight I'm carrying, or it's just being on my hands and knees crawling around, I just couldn't. I was wasted. I mean, I was in so much physical pain. I had to take, you know, quite a high dosage of codeine for a couple of days. You know, and that's reality. That is the reality of your treatment plan, and the killing off of the cancerous cells, the rebuilding of the cells, the healthy cells, and having the side effects of the Lupron. And please, you know, let me know some of your stories. You know, and that's just one job. It took no more than like 3 hours, but it put me down for a couple of days. Another one I did in the spring was to put up a nice canopy over the kitchen window, because we have really extreme sunlight coming in the kitchen in the morning, until the sun starts to move around. I'll tell you that story a little bit, you know, on another time. But again, that had to be planned, and I know the drilling into the wall had to be done. Everything had to be sized up, measured up, and the thought of it, you know, again, and we bought the canopy, and we had to put it together, and that was, I do remember, that was a hot day, and that was a good couple of hours putting it together, and that's before we even had to mount it on the wall. Again, I had to rope the wife into doing it with me, and bless her, she got a bit of a sharp tongue that day, and she, you know, it was a bit of banter, but you know, I did apologise afterwards. But these things is all a part of trying to stay active, trying to get out there. I know a lot of people go out and just say, well, I walk, I do this, I do that. You know, I sadly struggle with my ankles, and I did some pretty bad damage to that, and that went through a whole healing process. It took about, you know, a good 8 months to heal. But that is definitely on the list, and I'm making a list now for when, you know, we're getting to that nice warm weather again, or a little bit away from the, you know, the spring and more into warm weather. I'm going to do that, and I hope you guys are now planning how your recovery and how you can assist your recovery, because that's the only way forward, I think, you know. Anyway, it's great talking to you, and I've got a great episode next one. Please join me, and I'll see you on the other one. Bye for now.